Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of my podcast, The Fruity Cast, where today we're going to be doing a pro wrestling champion tier list. So this basically follows the current champions in pro wrestling. And I know I said in a previous episode that I'm going to try to take a step away from tier lists, but this was something I really wanted to do, especially with All In happening. At the time of this recording, it will be tomorrow. By the time this goes out, it will probably be happening at the time that this video is out. So since there's more than likely going to be, championships changed, and also with Bash in Berlin and NXT No Mercy next week, this is probably the best time to do this because I have some thoughts. And I'll probably do this like maybe at the end of the year too, do one where I actually no, because I got something else pro wrestling related that I want to do at the end of the year. So I have a tier list that I made the other day, and it's filled with the current champions. And as I was saying beforehand, there's going to be some special episodes I'm going to do at the end of the year. I think I might have already spoken on this, so I'll just say it lightly. I won't be on it for too long, but it's just going to be, I got some big one. Well, not. I got some special episodes lined up for the end of the year that I'm gonna do like bi-weekly. So 1 week I'll do one, and then we'll do like a regular podcast episode, and then the next week be that one. But I'm pretty sure I already spoke on this, but we'll see. Excuse me. Yeah. So first off, we're just gonna go in order of which I had these lined up. We're going to go with the only championship that is a unofficial championship that is essentially an official championship at this point, and that is the FTW championship, with their current champion being Chris Jericho. And so when it comes to Chris Jericho and this current gimmick of his, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a Jericho fan. I never have been. But I just think like every feud that he is in, he's literally the worst part of it. I don't care for any of his gimmicks. It's just, maybe he's just not for me, but like this shit, this sucks. I hate this FTW shit. I don't think it's done favors for anyone in particular. For anyone who's been involved, it's done nothing for them. It just feels like another excuse for Jericho just to be on the show. Because like honestly, who really cares all that much about Jericho anymore? The guy has a good legacy, but I feel like he just refused to let it go. And this just is terrible. I don't care for it. I think we need to leave Chris Jericho in the past. I think he needs to retire, honestly, or just go away for a long period of time. But I have not been enjoying anything about it. Now, before we really get into this, even though I literally just talked about Jericho, I'm putting him in jobber tier, by the way. I don't watch as much AEW and WWE as I used to, but that's mostly because I just don't have cable anymore. I used to have YouTube TV, but that was a whole family plan, and my family just didn't want to have it anymore, and it's something that I'm not going to pay for myself. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in terms of how I perceive them comes from like secondhand knowledge. It mostly just comes from like looking at, what they put out on like X, Twitter, shit like that, because that's really the only way I'm able to watch these shows week to week. But when it comes to a lot of this stuff, it's very secondhand knowledge, but I do pay attention. I'm not just like, I don't just try to like just skim through. Well, sometimes I do, but like, I try to my best to my ability to try to keep up. And from everything I've seen about Chris Jericho and the learning tree, I just hate it. I think it's the worst thing on TV right now, and it just needs to stop. And it's going to jobber tier right now. Also, the FTW championship should have been something that like only existed in the year that it was brought to AEW. Like, it's just, I don't know why it's still around. Why is it still around? Like, I understand with Hook, because he's Taz's son, why that's still around. But at the same time, I feel like you can just get rid of it at some point. Like, you just need to. Like, have someone win. They had a perfect opportunity with Jack Perry as FTW champion, being like, yeah, I'm just going to get rid of this. Because who cares? and like it just feels useless. It doesn't help with the problem that AEW has where they almost have too many championships right now. It means nothing. And some people will say to that, well, oh, WWE has a lot of championships too. Yeah, but they have brands. Like the only championship they really share across all three brands are the women's tag team championships. And beyond that, it's just like, okay, like except for that one, they have like 4 or 5 titles for each brand and they use it quite well. But when it comes to AEW, it just feels like it's just this pot of so many championships just all over the place. And it doesn't help that when they, have other titles championships on their show, it just adds to it. Like with the Strong Women's Championship, even though it is held by Mercedes, but also like Willow's CMLL Women's Championship too. Then we have, well, okay. So here's the thing with AEW is that unlike WWE, it was really hard to find championship renders of like the champions with their championships. So for the patriarchy, the World Trios champions, I just have Christian Cage. Now I do not really care for the Trios championships. I feel like they only really are there. Like the only thing they really do is just take away from the tag team division, which is struggling right now in AEW. It just like the only tag teams that are really there anymore are like FTR, the Acclaimed. There are others, but they're just not on the same level. Like the trio, like the when it comes to like the level of importance with the tag team division in AEW, it's like okay, you got the three up top, Young Bucks, Acclaimed, FTR. Those are the most important. Then everyone else is just the bottom of the barrel. Like they just don't really feel like they're there at all, and I don't understand it. And then with the trios champions, you have like you have the Guns, who should be in the tag team. Like I feel like the patriarchy is a good pick to be trios champions because there's no like discernible tag team within the group. But when it comes to like the gun, the Bang Bang with the Bang Bang Gang, whatever the fuck they're called, Bullet Club Gold. Like I don't know why they're there. I just don't get it. Also, like I believe in All In tomorrow. They're going to have Pac team up with Claudio Castagnoli and Yuta to be in the trios match. Is like, why are they even there? Why? Why are they even there? Did they realize they were like, oh, we already have a three-way match for the tag team titles. We need to add someone else to the trios title, so it's just not another three-way match. It's just I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like where the trios division is. But I don't hate the patriarchy as champions. I think it makes sense. I just think the division needs to be better. I'm gonna go with pre-show. I'm gonna put them in the pre-show. Again, I think the reason why it's only Christian Cage, by the way, is mostly because I couldn't find a good like PNG render of the patriarchy, but also like I just like the image of him holding all three of the titles. Uh, then we have Mercedes Monet, and when it comes to Mercedes, it's now when I talk about these people, I'm mostly trying to talk about their championship reign. But also, there's going to be other factors to it. It's just, my personal opinion on these people as a wrestler and as a champion. And I think with Mercedes Monet in AEW, it's very, it feels like a dud based on, like, in contrast to what it could have been. Like, Mercedes Monet, formerly Sasha Banks, should have been a huge deal, and it just doesn't anymore. It was a big deal for like the first couple weeks she was there, and then it just kind of, it just kind of deflated after that. It felt like, you know, it was taking too long for her just to have a match. It really did. And it doesn't feel like there's been anything really special from this. Like, I don't understand having Camille as her bodyguard. I just don't, I'm not really feeling it. I'm not really feeling this whole feud with Britt Baker, mostly because I'm okay. In all fairness, I'm not a big Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné fan or a Britt Baker fan, so that's mostly why. I don't really, I think they're good. There's just nothing that really excites me about either of them. That like, no, I had to watch what they're doing. I'm not a biggest fan. In my opinion, Mercedes is probably my least favorite horseman. Well, least favorite horsewoman. And I think she's been doing all right in her role. It's just like I feel like if this was Mercedes Moné went to AEW 2023, it would have been a way bigger deal. Or even, yeah, I would say 2023. I'm not, it took a while for her just to even get back to wrestling after she left WWE. There was probably stuff behind the screens that nobody knows about, which is fine. I'm just saying, it feels like this is something that like happened later than it should have. Like this should have something that had happened in 2023. She like have her feud with Cargill. Cargill drops the title to her. It would have been a way bigger deal than it was now. And just it feels like everything they've done with Mercedes has been wrong. It just it doesn't feel great. I don't know. I would say, uh, I don't know. Right now, I'm gonna say mid card. I was stuck between these two, mid card and pre-show, but I think she's been presented well enough. I think it she should be presented greater for her name value, for the talent that she does have, but I don't really feel like it's there. Then we have Okada as Continental Champion. I don't have there's no like championship render I was able to find of Okada. And before anyone says like, oh, there was like, you why don't you just get them from the roster site? They're like WEFP or whatever files. They're not ones that I'm pretty sure you can use when it comes to tier lists or just ones that are easy to use in general. Unlike WWE's roster page, which actually has PNGs, so I was only really able to find Okada cropped out, but with the World Heavyweight Championship. So yeah, he's Continental Champion. I feel like this is the same thing with Mercedes. Just like, why isn't this guy a bigger deal? He just doesn't. He just kind of feels like he's there. Like he had a match with Claudio recently that went to. I'm pretty sure it went to a no DQ. I don't know why they aren't just doing that match at All In. I don't know why Claudio is in a trios match at all, instead of just having them do Okada versus Claudio. He just again feels like he's there. Like I don't he doesn't really feel important. He just feels like the third man with the elite. Like he I don't know why. Like this just feels so weird to me. Cuz Okada, he's one of the greatest of all time and it doesn't really feel like they're treating him as such. Like he's obviously, he's had good matches there. But like sometimes I even forget he's champion or that he's there at all. And it feels weird to say that about someone who is literally like one of the greatest of all time. I'm not going to go pre-show. Like I don't it just feels like he just has a championship. It doesn't feel important. He's just there. And then we have MGF, the AEW American champion. I Here's the thing. I do think MGF is really good when he tries. When he tries. When he try as especially as a heel, when he, really goes out there, gives it his A game, he's really good. This is not his A game. I feel like this is just him phoning it in. Like he's just trying to do like a MAGA type gimmick, and I don't think that works, especially nowadays. Like it doesn't work. Because like and here's the thing. Like I don't know if it's supposed to be social commentary or it's just like him being like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do this." Because it's just weird. I don't care for it. I feel like it might literally just be an excuse for him just to not try. Because you could do a MAGA type gimmick right. If you had your baby face who ultimately wins at the end be someone like you could have it be like a social commentary on immigrants and how these people talk about them and how disgusting it is, or just like any marginalized group, but instead, this gimmick is being wasted on a white British dude. I don't know what the deal is. Like, it's just a white British dude. That's it. Like, what's this supposed to say? Like, oh, MAGA's really, you know, is really against British people? Like, I don't understand this at all. I feel like there's so many better ways they could have handled this. Like, you could have it been like MJF comes back and he's bitter because, like, oh, I was, supposed to be the big face, but when Will Ospreay showed up, everyone was talking about like, oh, when is he gonna be world champion? Like when I was world champion, everyone was just like, oh, Swerve's gonna be world champion. Oh, Will Ospreay is gonna dethrone him. Like everyone was talking about these guys instead of talking about me, and everyone was turning their backs on me in favor for these guys. So it's like there's ways you could have done it where he has a at least somewhat legitimate reason to go after Osprey, to go after people like Strickland and Garcia too. Like, oh, these new guys coming in, these younger guys coming in, they're gonna think they're gonna be able to take my spots. Someone who's been there since the beginning. Well, I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm going after them. But instead, it's just rah rah. I'm American and I'm racist. And also, you're a British guy and fuck you. It's bottom of the barrel shit. And it feels so fucking wasted on this. Like, you could possibly do, even though I feel like, in terms of like that sort of, like the foreign heel or just like super American, I don't think that should be in pro wrestling. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like it's bottom of the barrel shit. But if you're gonna do it, at least try to do it right. And I don't feel like, at least like try to say something with it. And I don't feel like they tried at all to say anything with this. I'm gonna have to go with Jobber. I also don't care for the story about the whole like, oh, Will Ospreay's gonna hit him with a tiger driver. Is it gonna hurt him or not? Like this guy's done repeatedly bad shit. Just do it. Also, the guy that you like the whole thing with the tiger driver because he hit it on Danielson and it messed him up, shit like that. Danielson's still around. He's competing for the AEW World Championship, so obviously it's not that big of a deal. Um, Next up, we got the TNT champion, Jack Perry. I don't care for Jack Perry, never have. When it comes to like the four pillars of AEW, even though I don't really care for many of them, I don't care for Darby Allin. I don't care for Sammy Guevara at all. But Jack Perry is literally my least favorite. I think the championship design is cooler than the new one, where it's all black and has like red splatter marks on it. But I feel like that would have been cooler for someone like Adam Copeland or Malachi Black if he would have won it against Copeland, but not with Jack. He did made it. He did make it himself. There's literally a video of him melting the metal from the TNT Championship and then making a new one, which I think is pretty cool. If I was him, I would quit my day job then and just become because like this guy might be a better smelter than he is a wrestler because I just don't care for this guy. There's nothing that he has done. There's no match of his where I've been like, oh my god, that was incredible. I was just like yeah, I don't like. There's some, he's not bad, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'm not a fan. The TNT thing, I don't know. I feel like that Darby Allin promo, the one that got him jumped, definitely raised my interest somewhat. I thought it was a really good promo. Uh, but I don't care for Jack Perry. I'll say pre-show. You probably would have gone in mid card, but I just don't. I don't care for him at all. I really don't. I would like. I do like MJF a lot, and the only reason why Jack is above him is because I do kind of like the feud that he has going on with Darby. Even though I do like MJF a lot more than him as a wrestler, and during during some of the highlights of his career are definitely way better than Jack's in my opinion. I just I do kind of like the TNT storyline more than I do the American Championship storyline at all. Like I just don't care for it. It's just a really bad storyline in my opinion. Um, then we got Charlie Dempsey, NXT Heritage Cup champion. I think he's the first multi-time champion so far on this tier list. Like he's the one who's held it multiple times previous to in comparison to like these people. His first reign wasn't much. It was when Gulak was with the No Quarter Catch crew and they were doing the whole like, oh, there's anyone could defend it. And they weren't really doing much. They were just kind of a bland stable at that point. It was obvious that Gulak was like kind of holding them back. I really like what they're doing now. Dempsey is an incredible wrestler. I really liked this whole like rivalry they had with the D'Angelos. But I mean, it's just kind of like the least important mid card championship on the show. I'll say mid card. I don't think it's like great. We'll see where they go with this because it seems like the D'Angelos are going to feud with Femi. So it's like, okay, well, who's next then? I don't know. Kalani Jordan, NXT Women's North American Championship. The Wendy Chu feud, I mean, I don't really have that much care for. Her match against Sol Ruka at, what was it? Heatwave was really good. I would say mid card too. Again, I think she's had some pretty good matches. She's great. She is a great wrestler. I just, they're still kind of building up this title. It's still pretty new, so we'll see where it is in comparison to where it is now, probably in like a few months or so. And then we have Obafemi, NXT North American Championship. I mean, the guy's great. I think in terms of the talent that he has faced, I couldn't put him in main event. I love Femi. Maybe with some higher names. D'Angelo seems to be a pretty big name for him. Uh, in terms of like his the challengers he has faced with NXT with their match coming up at No Mercy. But right now I'll put him in runner up. I think he's probably the best mid card champion so far out of this entire tier list, but that's mostly because like people with LA Knight and Braun Breaker have only held their championships for a few weeks now. Femi, I think this is a great run for him. I would like him to be, break the record for longest reigning North American champion, but at the same time, I have a feeling that once Trick wins the title again, or he'll probably drop the title before a deadline for the Iron Survivor Challenge, and then uh, if Trick has the champion by then, or whoever's champion by then, will probably drop it to Femi whenever they have their match. And I think that would probably be the best. I think Femi is ready to be NXT champion. All of his matches so far have been really good. He's just great. He's ready for that top spot. I just feel like with his North American Championship, until now with D'Angelo, he just hasn't really faced someone who is just like, in terms of like NXT status, someone who has kind of been to a main event or like NXT title contender spot. But we'll see. I think, but it could be very similar to like Gunther. Like Gunther had a lot of great contenders for the Intercontinental Championship, but they weren't exactly like main event guys. But with Femi, I think once he gets to that NXT title, he will have a similar kind of reign. Then we have Andrade with the speech. I mean, this is just jobber. I mean, it only he only defends it on speed, obviously, but like he has a feud right now, and it does not come up at all on SmackDown, seemingly. I've enjoyed his matches with Hayes. I'm curious to see where this goes. It's kind of like a best of series, but like an unofficial series. I would like to see where it goes. It seems like they're just like having them do matches. It's been fun. Um, but like the Speed Championship has not been fun. I don't know. I don't watch Speed. I probably will watch it every now and again if I see a matchup that looks interesting. But like ultimately, I don't care for it, and I don't know who does care for it. Honestly, LA Knight, U.S. champion. He had his first title defense this week, I believe, against Santos Escobar. We'll see where it goes. I think he's gonna have an open challenge soon, if I saw correctly. Again, it's still pretty fresh. I would say mid card. Again, just pretty fresh. Braun Breaker though, I would say runner up, but that's mostly because that Sami Zayn 2 out of 3 falls match was just insane. I think he's been presented well. They're doing an IC tournament. I forget who's in it, but I think having him win at SummerSlam was the right idea. I'm interested to see where this goes. I wonder who's in the IC Championship tournament. Okay, so Jay Uso is going to be involved. So it's going to begin on the Red Brands Go Home show to Bash in Berlin. Okay, it doesn't seem like they announced the bracket yet. So we'll see. They have said that Jay Uso is going to be in it. So we'll see. Doesn't seem like we know yet, but again, I think they've been showing him off quite well, especially with that 2 out of 3 falls match. Then we got the Young Bucks. I've never cared for any of their tag teamed reigns. I think my even though one of my favorite tag team matches was their match against the Lucha Bros at All Out in the Steel Cage match. That's one of my favorite tag team matches. But at the same time, I don't really care for the Young Bucks as a tag team that much, and I feel like most of their championship reigns has been pretty eh. I like with this reign, I couldn't tell you like a match where I was just like, man, that was great. Same with their second one, but their second reign was very short because like they beat Jurassic Express for it and then immediately dropped it to Swerve and Keith Lee. The first reign was probably the best, but I don't know. It was also when they were with Kenny Omega, and obviously the World Championship was a way bigger deal. I would probably put this in pre-show. Honestly, just don't care for it. And I feel like with this whole like FTR acclaimed feud, like it just feels like a rerun of every FTR feud they've ever had, just with the acclaimed and like I'm sorry, I just do not care for the acclaim at all. I feel like they just come off very cringy. It's best that they are just like a comedy gimmick, and anytime you get them in these like big situations, it just feels off. Chase U. Now I know that this will sound very contradictory to what I just said, but I do love Chase U. I do. I have the Chase U sweater. I love Chase U. I don't know how I feel with Chase and Ridge as tag team champions together. But we'll see where this goes. I do like the storyline so far. It seems like Ridge is going to split up Chase U in some way, maybe with him and Riley, and it's going to be a Chase U war. But I do like him. They're going to have a match with Axiom and Frazier. The match they had where they won the championships was really good. I like Chase U. I think NXT has a really good tag team division that doesn't get utilized as well. But I would say, I wouldn't say runner up. They're still very recent champions. I'll say mid card. Then we got the women's tag team championships. I do like how they've been focused a lot more. They got a feud on Raw. They got a feud on SmackDown. Um, I really like that. I really like that, especially if Fire and Dawn are the faces of it. I hope they retain their championships against Bianca and Cargill, even though I do like that tag team. But that's just because I want them to be focused on more when it comes to their shows, and I think they need to do the feud because I think it just feels really drawn out now with Bianca and Cargill. I think it's time to do it. But still, even if they won back the championships, I wouldn't be like heartbroken about it. I just hope that even if they do lose, Fire and Dawn are still on the show regularly because I do really like them. I do like that they're pairing them up with Blair Davenport, who's another wrestler I really like. I would they had a recent match with Io and Kyrie, which I thought was pretty good. Um, but for the most part, I would say mid card. Actually, I'll say runner up. I think they've been decently portrayed on the shows. I think it's probably the best the women's tag team championships have looked so far, even with Bianca and Cargill holding them. Because when Bianca and Cargill held the titles, it just really felt like it was just like immediately after they won those titles, they were put in a singles tournament. So I feel like that should say enough about the tag team titles. But I feel with Alba and Isla, they're definitely the forefront when it comes to the women's tag team division, and I think that's really good. Then we had the Bloodline, which used to be Tama Tonga and Chica Fatu, but now is Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Uh, Solo had Fatu give the title to Loa, so now God are the tag team champions. They had a match with the Street Profits recently, which was all right. I believe they had a rematch with DIY when Jacob was champion. I don't know. I don't remember, or maybe I'm just remembering the actual match where they won the titles. But I think this is a good pairing. I mean, we'll see where this goes. Again, they're still pretty recent with the tag team, with being tag team champions, but I do like how it is very much a focus too. Like it doesn't feel second. It does, especially since like Roman Reigns is probably not going to be on every SmackDown with this feud between him and Solo. I do think it gives a good spotlight to the tag team division with like DIY, the Street Profits, hopefully more. So we'll see where this goes. I will say mid card for now. And then we have the World Tag Team Champions. I'm pretty sure they have literally not defended these titles at all in the 2 months they have held them. Like what the fuck? Like if you wanted to do this Balor versus Priest feud, which is going to happen and has been going on, why aren't these titles defended somewhat? Like I don't know, just I don't know why they would give them. I don't know. And I do think the Raw Tag Team division is pretty good right now when you look at all the tag teams in them. They are all in feuds, just not this one. Like none of them are going after the World Tag Team Championships, despite the fact that like it would probably be the best time since they're preoccupied with Priest and Ripley. Like the New Day is feuding with the Final Testament and might break up. Um, the Creed brothers are feuding. The Creed brothers and you know American Made are feuding with the YA6. Alpha Academy is kind of in it, kind of with the Final Testament feud too. I don't know. Like they they should actually have people that they are facing off against. Miz and R-Truth are doing the whole, are just basically squashes for Bronson Reed at this point. Like just one defense, just having to defend the titles once. Like what is this? Um, and then we got Tony Storm. I would say runner up. I haven't cared. I really like her gimmick. I think they pulled the trigger too soon on this Mariah May storyline because I don't really feel like she, to me, she's never really felt up there to be in world title contention. But at the same time, I do like the storyline. But the reason why I don't put her in main event is because while I do like the gimmick and I do like the current storyline, everything else, like all the other storylines outside of like the Mina storyline, I just didn't care for. It just kind of felt like it was there. So yeah, I'll put her in runner up. That's all I really had to say with Tony Storm. Her previous title reigns also kind of bring her down because they were just kind of nothing. Roxanne Perez, I feel like her first reign was pretty well, like not well done. Pretty like they could have done way more. It felt like they were just trying to do something to give like Indy Hartwell like feel good win. And after that, like Roxanne Perez really was doing nothing except just going from feud to feud. I do like this one though. I think it's great. I think it's been able to showcase women from outside of the company and women inside the company that have not gotten much of a shot yet. I would honestly say main event. I think this is some of her best work, honestly. Like even though her first reign wasn't much, she still had good matches in that first reign with like Miko Satomura, with Gigi Dolan and JC Jane in a triple threat match. Like I think it was pretty good matches. So I would put her firmly in there. Nia Jax, she's been presented well, but not much. I would say mid card for now. There is a street fight title match that she's gonna have against Michin in this upcoming SmackDown, so we'll see where that goes. But like so far, I liked it. I did like that little segment that a lot of people made fun of on SmackDown, but that's also because I really like Pretty Deadly. But so far, I think putting the title on her was the right decision. We'll see where this goes. I think they're just gonna kind of, I don't know. I think they should have just put it on the Clash of the Castle, like that title match. Just put it on Clash in the Castle. Who cares? Well, not Clash of the Castle. Bash in Berlin. Just put it on the title card. Who cares at this point? Like, I do kind of like the 5 match card when it comes to WWE pay per views, but you could always put another match on there. It's not going to hurt you to put a 6 1 on there. Liv Morgan as Women's World Champion. The big problem with this feud is that Dominic Mysterio feels like a bigger part of it than the title itself. Even though I do like this Rhea Ripley storyline, I think I would put it in runner up because I feel like it should be more focused on Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, but Dominic Mysterio just seems like to be the overall focus, and to the title's detriment. Like, the title should be the focus. And you could definitely do a Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley feud without Dom being the big part in it, because they used to be friends. Rhea turned on her. In this situation, you should have Liv almost kind of be the face, because it just makes sense for her to be the face. Like, Rhea, Rhea broke up their tag team and attacked her. She caused Liv to be injured for a good amount of time. Like, Liv should be the face in this. But Rhea is just really well liked for good reason. And I feel like it kind of muddies, but I do feel like it muddies up this feud. Because, like, yeah, Liv's right of why she would hate Rhea. Like, Liv, in all seriousness, has a good reason to hate Rhea. But, Rhea's popular, so she's the face. And again, Dom just takes up too much of this feud for my liking. Then we have Sora Strickland, AEW World Champion. He's been a good champion. I'll say that. I think his feuds have been pretty good, even though they're not particularly my favorite thing going on in AEW right now. If I would have to pick something that is my favorite, I don't know. I haven't really been enjoying AEW as a product, if you couldn't tell from some of my placements here. But I think he has been presented as a pretty good world champion overall. But I think it's time to give it up. I don't know. I've never been a Swerve fan. I think he was always someone who should have been in like a higher up mid card position, who would have world title matches every now and again. But people like him. I don't like. I understand why they made him world champion, but I think it's time to pass the title down. Maybe to Bryan Danielson. I think that would be like. I think everyone's expecting Swerve to win, and Bryan to go out on his back. But I think him winning the world championship would probably be for the best, if I'm going to be honest. So I'm putting to say I don't know. I haven't really been talking about Swerve. I don't know. Like, I don't think his reign has been bad at all. Like, at all. I think it's been pretty good, but it's not something that like excites me. It doesn't feel like a world champion. I'll say that. Like, anytime like I see his, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I've always been iffy on Swerve. I've never been a huge fan of his. There's been, there's certain things about him I've never been a fan of. The only thing that really got me interested in him, in all honesty, was the Prince Nana dance. But I will put him in runner-up. Ethan Page, NXT champion. I would say mid card. I think it was a good idea for him to win at Heatwave, but the way it's been presented, I feel like it almost feels like he's just a mid card champion. Like, I do like Oro Mensa, but him having like he's defended the title twice already between Dante Chen and Oro Mensa. Like, it doesn't feel like he's really giving a lot. He doesn't really feel like a main event player, is all I'm trying to say. So I don't know how I really feel about this. I do like that Joe Hendry is going to be his next contender. I don't know why Swerve is guest referee. I feel like they should just have him and like Pete Dunne in a match at Heatwave, but who knows? Um, but yeah, I don't feel like he's really like the big champion. I feel like Oba is probably a bigger champion than him at this point. But we'll see. It just feels like he's just kind of holding it until they give it back to Trick. Gunther, again, really recent into his reign. He's going to be facing off against Randy Orton at Bash in Berlin. I think that's a nice callback to him, the outcome of King of the Ring, and how it's just like, okay, you're one King of the Ring, you're World Heavyweight Champion now because you won that match. I mean, because you won that tournament and got that match. But my shoulders weren't down, so now coming for the title, I'm coming for my rematch that I deserve. I think the story's great. I like how he's presented. He does feel like the world champion, even with bigger, with big storylines going on at the same time. Like, I feel like the big storyline on Raw is Damian and Rhea versus the Judgment Day, but Gunther still feels like a big deal. despite the fact that that feud is very hot. Like this still feels like a very big deal feud. So I'm gonna go again. It's still very new, so I can't put it in main event yet. So I'll put it runner up. And then we have Cody Rhodes, and I'm going main event. I think some of his feuds have been all right, but he still always feels like the guy. He feels like the man on the show. Even with the Bloodline storyline going on, he still feels like the champion. And I think, in just the match itself that he won the title in, definitely makes him, definitely, it makes him deserve this placement. He deserves to be in the main event spot. So, yeah, that's my tier list for the current pro wrestling champions. It is for the main event spot. Okay, so I'll just go like tier by tier. For jobber, it is Chris Jericho, MJF, Andrade, and the Judgment Day. For pre-show, it is Christian Cage, the Patriarchy, Kazuchika Okada, Jack Perry, and the Young Bucks. For mid card, it's Mercedes Moné, Charlie Dempsey, Kalani Jordan, LA Knight, Chase U, God, Nia Jax, Ethan Page. For runner-up, it's Obafemi, Braun Breaker, The Unholy Union, Tony Storm, Liv Morgan, George Strickland, and Gunther. And then finally for the main event, I think it's Cody Rhodes and Roxanne Perez. So yeah, that's my little tier list. Again, not a lot of I haven't really been feeling AEW. I'm gonna be honest. Like I do. There are certain things that I currently do like, but I don't love. And I think, obviously that's gonna bias my opinion on it, but it's my list. I don't exactly love everything that's going on in WWE right now, but at the same time, I think they do a better job at presenting their champions, if I'm gonna be honest. So, well, at least some of them. Again, the World Tag Team Champions are in the jobber position on my tier list, so we'll see. But yeah, that's about it. So I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of the Fruity. Hopefully, we go to something else again. Next time, we definitely won't be doing another tier list.